Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. It's Kaylan Alex. If you're new here, welcome. Go ahead and subscribe, become part of the tribe. Awesome and great things happen over here. And if you're returning, thank you so much for tuning in. So today we're going to be chatting about my tips and things to consider when you're shopping pre-loved. You guys know that I am an advocate for shopping pre-loved items. And I just feel like I should just give you some of the tips and things that I use when I'm considering or going to purchase something pre-loved. So let's jump into the video. So I've kind of listed things out based on what I consider when I'm shopping pre-loved and some helpful things that I think you guys could use if you're considering purchasing a pre-loved item. Now, the things that I'm going to recommend are going to be like handbags, jewelry or accessories, things like that. I don't typically shop pre-loved shoes or clothing. It's just like, I don't really know how to describe it. It just doesn't, it can go left real quick. It can go wrong real quick. So I kind of like shy away from things like that. Although I have purchased a pair of pre-loved Tom Ford shoes in the past that were only worn once. That was kind of like as far as I would go with it. I don't really, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it because I've definitely sold my shoes that I, haven't really worn. If it's something that I've worn, like really worn, I don't really just sell. We'll leave that there. I wouldn't sell something that I wouldn't use or I wouldn't buy. So that's pretty much what I'm saying. But things like handbags, accessories, jewelry, stuff like that, you can clean that stuff. It's not something you have to like really put on your body. So just to put that out there, that's kind of like the angle that I'm coming from. So the first thing that I have on the list is brand. You want to consider the brand you are shopping or choosing or considering to shop pre-loved. There's some brands that honestly, if you go and look at what the resale price for an item is, it's almost what it would be if you just go in the store and purchase it brand new. I see that happen all the time with things like Chanel, sometimes Saint Laurent. Those are kind of the brands that I look for, so I see that happening with the most. It just, take a price comparison. You want to look at how much it is in the store versus how much it is reselling for. The caveat here is if the item is like a hard to find item, or if it's something like a collector's item, it was a special collab or something like that, obviously you probably can't go to the store and get it, so you kind of just have to take what you get when you see it resell. But then there's other items like Louis Vuitton you can get at a really good deal resell, and it will depend on a number of other things which we'll get into later, but that is a brand that you can get resell for a good price. Or even Chanel, like Chanel is kind of like one of those brands that, depending on the item, it's kind of like, depending on the item is when you can like be flexible in how you feel about whether or not to purchase it in store or resell. So consider the brand. There are also brands that don't really hold their value much, which I mentioned quite a bit. I guess to me that term can be relative to the person, because if you like a brand, you like a brand, so it holds value to you. However, when it comes to like resale and what you'll see in the store versus what you would see someone reselling it for, it's a big difference. So that's kind of where I come from when I say it doesn't really hold much resale value. Brands that we know that hold resale value are Louis Vuitton. You will never really see a Louis Vuitton sale. Chanel, they do have sales, private sales, but not really like in the way that we're used to seeing sales. Hermes doesn't really have sales. Yeah, those type of brands you won't typically see on sale, so their items kind of hold a little more value throughout time, and that is something that you could easily consider purchasing resale. Next category is going to be price. Before I purchase anything, period, I always check what the resale value is. How much is it being resold for? Because sometimes if it's being resold for, way less than, I will just choose to purchase it pre-loved versus buying it new at the store, because I know that if I ever chose to resell it or something like that, I wouldn't get all of my money back. So it's not really something that I feel like I have to purchase brand new. Now, of course, if there's an item that you just feel like you want to purchase brand new, maybe it's your first purchase or you just want it brand new, you can do that. But for this purpose, I shop pre-loved all the time, and I always check how much an item is worth pre-loved versus in the store, because it helps me make a decision if I want to make that investment in the store or if I would just rather purchase it pre-loved. Now, with some brands, they do go on sale brand new. So I see YSL all the time from different vendors or different department stores or different companies that are retailers of Saint Laurent have sales, and you can get a brand new bag for sale. There's a few accounts that I follow on Instagram that post nothing but sales all day. So luxury sales all day. So if a brand is on sale or items are on sale, specific items are on sale, brand new, they'll post it. And they're from credible stores like Neiman's, Saks, Sense, Farfetch. Not really Farfetch, but sometimes Farfetch. Or usually they're companies or stores that are out of the country for us here in the States, but they are legitimate stores. So you can get brand new items on sale, and you don't have to even worry about shopping pre-loved. Now, under price, I also have the consideration if the item is a classic, special edition, or hard to get item. That is going to affect the price. If it is a classic item, the chances of you getting it less than retail is pretty high, depending on the item. It's so relative because it's subjective to the brand, because for instance, Chanel, we all know I'm a Chanel girl. We all know, I feel like they're the perfect example for this because we shop vintage Chanel all the time. Their classic items you can get for less than retail if you purchase it pre-loved. So you can get a double flap classic jumbo for about $5,000 that is in really good condition for resale. Whereas it retails for, I think it's $7,300 now, brand new. But you can get a bag like that for well below what it is retailing for, which they are, cracking down on the resale market, child, and the shoppers and, consignment shops, but that's still an option. If it is a special edition, obviously you're going to pay a little bit more. Typically, you're going to pay a little bit more if you're going the pre-love route versus trying to source it in the store. Now, that is just a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, but those type of things are something that you can consider when you are looking at pricing for pre-loved items, what kind of item it is. You are generally more likely to get a classic item for a good price under retail than something that is a little bit more exclusive. So just keep that in mind. Next topic is seller, or I'll say wherever you're purchasing it from. One of my favorite companies to purchase pre-loved items from is going to be Fashion File. I adore Fashion File, although recently, I feel like, and I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like their pricing has become a little proud. And I don't know if it's the Neiman's collab or if it's just the fact that they are just becoming just this power. housed in consignment. I don't really know what it is, but I feel like their prices are like a little aggressive, if I might say. Like, I don't know. It's just something about their pricing that I'm just like, this is the resale market, honey. Like, what we doing? And I get it. They are, and the reason why I actually like Fashion File, or prefer to shop with Fashion File, is because their handbags are going to be in great condition. They actually, I feel as though they list the condition of the bag kind of like they give more information about the bag than it might be. Like, it may be a bag that is in very top-notch condition, but they'll list it as very good, just so that, if there's any little bitty thing that could be a issue with the bag, they've at least put that out there so that you're not thinking that you're getting a brand new bag and then there's like this hairline scratch on it or whatever. So I think they do a great job of the description of their bags and under promising and over delivering. So when you receive the bag, you're like, wow, it's in better condition than I thought. And they also I don't really see much old, used, decrepit bags on Fashion File. Now, if that's your style, you prefer more worn look, then that's your style. But me personally, when I shop pre-loved, I want to get something that is still relatively new or in great condition, like it's been kept in great condition, because I want to be able to enjoy it too. Like, I want to be able to put some wear and tear on the bag. I don't want to get the bag or the item halfway, like the life is almost gone. Like, that's just my personal preference. And I think that they do a great job of making sure that the items that they receive on the site and that they sell are in great enough condition that you can even gift them. So that is another reason why I love Fashion File. They also have a return policy. So if you purchase something from there, as long as you have the tag still attached to it, you can return it. I think it's like a 30-day return policy. Don't quote me on that. I've actually never ordered anything and returned it because I do my due diligence before I purchase, but that is an option. And I always know that if I purchase something and I don't like it from there, I have the option to return it. So I think it's 30 days. And I just think that is so cool. You also have the option to resell it to Fashion File. So if it's outside of the return window, you have, I believe it's like up to 6 months or so to resell it back to Fashion File. Of course, you're not going to get 100% of your money back that you paid for it, but it is something like 30 to 70% that you'll get back for the item, and it depends on the item. So it depends on which percentage you get back. There are, of course, other consignment shops like Tracy, Yogi's Closet, there's a few other accounts that I follow on Instagram. Those type of places, though, the Tracy's specifically, you have to be careful with because that is not a platform that is going to authenticate an item unless it's an issue or requested. So basically, it's seller to buyer market there. Tracy is just like the marketplace. So I'm going to provide this website, and it's like an eBay. The seller uploads an item, the buyer goes to look for it, they connect. Tracy has nothing really to do with it besides facilitating the meeting place. So with that being said, there is a possibility that you can get an item that is unauthentic. That has happened to someone that I know. They ordered an item from they ordered an item from Tracy, and after inspecting it, it came back to be an unauthentic item. Tracy was very quick about rectifying the issue and handling it, so that was really good. There's no return policy there, so it's all final sale. But in the case of an item being unauthentic, they do refund you full price for what you paid for it. And that is just what happened to the person. I know they got refunded fully and, you know, this big apology and all of that. So they stand by their word, I guess. But that is another reason why I don't really shop with Tracy, because it is seller to buyer. And I don't really want to have the hassle of trying to figure out if I've gotten an item that is unauthentic, and then now I want to fight because you done sold me an item that you didn't have to sell me. Like, but I get it. You can't escape it. It's the possibility is there, but that is just something to consider when you're thinking about purchasing from a site like that. Another thing that you can do with when you purchase pre-loved is have an item authenticated. Honestly, this is a big topic within itself, because the authenticating of an item is there's really no such thing. I'm just going to let y'all know that there's really no such thing as it. The only way that these companies have any type of credibility is really because there are people who are experienced with certain brands, the craftsmanship of the brand, and they can spot the differences between an authentic item and an unauthentic item. That being said, whether an item is authentic or not, or is passed as authentic or not when you're sending it to be authenticated, is really subjective to the person that's looking at it. Unfortunately, unfortunately. The thing about it is you can't go into a store and say, hey, can you authenticate this item? Or I purchased this item. Can you tell me if it's actually real? You can't do that. So stores don't do that. So there's no such thing as authenticating an item, although there are companies that do that. Those are just people who have mastered the skill of being able to determine based on their knowledge of the brand whether or not it's authentic or not. So unfortunately, that's just is what it is. But I feel like I should just go ahead and say that, because some people think that if they send an item to be authenticated, then that's Bible, that's word, or that a store does it. That's not true. Stores do not typically, really, they don't authenticate. There's no service. You can't walk into Hermes and say, can you authenticate this bag? Number one, they don't really want their bags being resold outside of them. So why would I authenticate a bag that you didn't even buy from me? You know, it's kind of like one of those things. And plus, why would I authenticate an item just so a person can make a replica and get my craftsmanship down packed to the point where I can't even tell? So that's another thing. This honestly is a big topic for a whole nother day, because I've heard that it happens quite frequently. So I just felt like that's important to know for this video. Although I will say that the companies that do offer authentication or, authenticating an item, they are pretty good about detecting whether an item is real or not. They do an awesome job. I've used a few of them, and they're good. They're good to use, and they're good to just have knowledge, because if it's an item that is an obvious fake, but you don't have a trained eye to know that, they'll be able to tell you. And you can go, if you've purchased it from like a trade, so you can go and say, hey, this item based on this company is not authentic. So there's still great services to have, but there's just no official service that does that. It's from the company. So they're not sending the bags to the company to be authenticated. So you also have the option of a personal shopper. Now with a personal shopper, this kind of really isn't pre-loved, because they really shop brand new items. I guess. Okay, so really what I'm trying to say here is the consignment shops that we see like on Instagram. I'll try to list some of them below. They are like consignment shops. So they're shoppers or, accounts where someone sold them a bag, or they bought a bag from someone, they're going to resell it, or they're listing the bag for a client to be resold or something like that. Those are also pre-loved options. The thing with those stores are that you have to be extremely diligent in knowing whether or not they actually offer authentic items, as well as if they have possession of the items. That is so important. If they don't have possession of the item, I generally don't really trust them. Not that they're not doing business right or anything like that, but you can't really tell what item you're going to receive if the person that you're contacting about the item doesn't have the item. They have to send it from their client or something like that. I have been in a situation where I shopped with a consignment shop, and they didn't have possession of the item, and I didn't know that they didn't have it. So when I received it, it was wrapped and packaged very poorly for a very expensive bag. And it was shipped though from the client, not from the person who I was speaking to about the bag. And then after experiencing that, that's when I noticed that most people, I'm not even going to say most, but there is a such thing as this person just being the person to list the item, and they're sending it from somewhere else. And in situations like that, there is no, if it's unauthentic, I'll give you your money back. Really, they're not a company, they're a person. So you just kind of have to trust that they're going to do the right thing. And I have seen people get in situations like that where they received an unauthentic item and they had to rely on the person that they actually know to do right by it. Well, in that case, the seller is now having to fight with the person that had the item, and it just gets messy. So when shopping with those consignment shops, it is very important to be diligent with finding out if the person is actually in possession of the item. You can find that out by making sure that you can get lots of pictures from them, or videos, or maybe a FaceTime or a video call or something like that, to just verify that they actually have the item and have knowledge of the item, and not just they listed it on their Instagram and you saw it. Also, with these type of sellers, sometimes you can negotiate the price. Be reasonable. Be reasonable and considerate of the item that you're getting and what it would cost in the store. They do have to make a commission, or they do have to make something from it, a profit from it. So, bear that in mind. But you can, on some of these consignment shops, negotiate a price or make an offer for a bag, and they'll honor it. So that is something that is good to know. There are different payment terms that some some consignment shops or sellers will have. So you can have a 6-week payment plan where you have 6 weeks to pay off a complete item, or whatever their payment terms are. You don't have to purchase it outright. The thing with that sometimes is that you still have to use there are fees that are associated based on how you choose to pay them, but they do have options that are flexible payment options, so those are good as well. The last item that I have on the list is the condition. Now, the condition of the bag or the piece of jewelry that you purchase is going to be very important, because that also plays a part in the price of the item, as well as kind of like the brand. So for instance, I'll use jewelry. If you're getting a Cartier, ring, pre-loved, you want to check that it's not, I'm not going to say it's not, because it's really relative to what you prefer. But you want to check how many scratches on there. How much, is there any, discoloration? Is there sizing off, because of the just include, or does it have all of the accessories to the love bracelet? Things like that you want to check, because the condition of the item should go hand in hand with the price. Obviously, if you're missing items, that the accessories that comes with the items, that should be reflected in the price. You want to make sure that you're getting the box or the dust bag, the pouch, the authenticity cards, the dust bags, things like that. Those should be reflective of the price. So you want to make sure that you're actually getting those things. Also, the condition of the actual item. Like I said, when I purchase things, I want to actually get some use out and wear and tear out of it too. Like, I don't want to just be, getting the item and it's already lifeless. Like, I want to enjoy it too. That's just me. So I like to make sure that the condition is very good or above, like little to nowhere. Another thing that you have to consider with condition, if it's an older item, a vintage item, specifically leather items, you will have to consider its smell. Those items, I don't really shop. I actually don't shop at all because of the fact that you have to consider smell, or if what kind of environment that it was in, because it could have been in a smoking environment and have like a smoking smell to it. Very important to consider or to be mindful of when you're purchasing. If it doesn't list a smell, or if it doesn't list anything about smell, it is, in my opinion, perfectly fine to ask those questions. My thing is, ask all the questions you can up front if it's a platform where you can ask questions. That way, if there's anything that is not mentioned, you have rights to getting your money back, because you're receiving an item that is not that wasn't given to you as described, pretty much. And it doesn't even have to be a vintage item. The item could have been in an environment that was a smoking environment, and it could have a smoke smell to it. So with those items, you just want to make sure that you're getting, with pre-loved items in general, you want to make sure that you're getting the full description. If you have any questions about any little thing, I would suggest asking the person for pictures, asking for a complete description, just so that you know that what you're getting is actually what has been described to you, and it's not anything missing that you weren't aware of. So those are important to know. Honestly, this topic can go on and on and on, because it is something that it is very intricate, and it's based on what you're getting. These are kind of just like general things to consider when you're purchasing pre-loved. And just like if you're new to it, something that you can have as a little benchmark guidance to knowing how to purchase pre-loved items. So with that being said, this is going to be the end of this video. Those are going to be my few tips for purchasing pre-loved. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful. If there are any other questions you have, you can leave them down below. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, drop a nice comment down below, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get a notification when I post again, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.